Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me for a Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester. My guest today is Brenda Martin, and she's out of the Lubbock, Texas area, and she's written the cutest book. It's entitled The Alphabet Learned Quickly and Easily. So we're talking about education today, making reading fun, and that's what we should do for our little ones, is to get them involved in reading and learning as early as possible. When we create an atmosphere that's fun and enjoyable, who doesn't want to do that, right? Your little ones know that as well. So let me tell you a little bit more about Brenda. Brenda Martin came up with the idea of the book while trying to teach the alphabet to a kindergarten boy who had difficulties with learning. She continued using her techniques and other learning challenge students, and she saw marked, consistent improvement. Over time, she honed her teaching techniques into the methods described in this book. Association memory triggered comprehension for concepts so well that students seemed to finally have a light bulb on experience to store information into their long-term memory for easier retrieval. She spent her career teaching students dealing with different levels of learning problems using creative and effective methods. So that's what we're talking about today. So without any further ado, let's bring Brenda into this conversation. Good morning, Brenda. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me today.
Good morning. I'm very blessed, and I'm happy to talk to you today.
Thank you. Now, as a mom myself, I no longer have little people, but, you have little nieces and nephews that come along, and you always want to give them the best possible information to grow. You want to get them those educational toys and all of that. So thank you so much for writing a book, even though it may be for children that have a little difficulty. It's great that you saw that and you wanted to fix a need that was there. So thanks for writing this book. So I want to ask you, what inspired you to write The Alphabet Learned Quickly and Easily?
Well, I taught in a low socioeconomic school 1 year. I taught 32 years in all, and this cute little kindergarten boy came up to me and he goes, "Ma'am, B, C, D, E sound alike to me." And I said, "Well, let me see if I can help you understand that better." So I drew a picture of, in fact, it's on my cover of my book, of an alligator hanging by his tail from an apple tree. And his tail was a capital A, and the apples were lowercase a's. And I made up a cute little story, and he goes, "Oh, that's what you're talking about. I understand." And so I thought I am onto something. And so I used the visualization and association memory for things that he didn't know, or things he did know. I put what he didn't know, and he could visualize it, and he knew it. And so that began. And I've used it with children of all ages. I taught children from age 3 all the way through high school. And believe it or not, it not only worked for some of the younger children, but it also worked for the children maybe that were dyslexic or had a learning disability. So I saw that it helped them too.
Well, I love that you said that you taught for such a long time. If you could, I know that I just read your bio, but could you tell us a little bit more about, who are you, aside from your bio? I mean, to be able to teach that long, I know that there are some lessons and some nuggets that you have gained along the way.
Well, I am a grandmother finally. My daughter was 41. I thought I'm never going to have a grandchild. And I had the most adorable little boy, grandchild. And so I thought, well, I'm going to use my book with him too someday.
Yes.
And so I'm looking forward to that. And I think I'll just have a camp in the summer when he's old enough. And we'll just have all kinds of fun learning activities. And so anyway, I love doing that, and I love making learning fun and easy, so it's not so intimidating. Anyway, I have 2 children, a daughter and a son.
Well, congratulations on the grandson. I know that my mom was just, over the moon when she found out as well, and my husband and I made the announcement, and she was just, like I said, she just grinned from ear to ear. So I can understand the excitement. Yes.
And some of my younger students, I thought, well, these are kind of like my grandchildren. So anyway, that now I have my own, so that's good too.
Now, you said that you have helped children of preschool age and a little bit older, but you've helped preschool children learn to read using your books. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. I talked to a lady at a doctor's office. She was the receptionist, and she said, "Oh, you're a retired teacher." And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you have another occupation?" I said, "Yes, I'm an author." And she said, "What kind of book?" And I said, "Well, I wrote a children's book called The Alphabet, Learn Quickly and Easily." And she said, "Oh, I'd like to look at that." And I said, "Well, I have one with me." And I showed it to her, and she says, "Oh, can I get it?" And I said, "Sure." So she bought it from me. I saw her again a couple of weeks later, and when she saw me, she pointed and she goes, "Your book is awesome." My 4-year-old read her first word, and I was so excited to hear that. And another friend, a grandfather and a grandmother, I saw them recently. I hadn't seen them in a good while, and they had bought my book at Barnes & Noble book signing. And he said, Grandpa told me, "I want to tell you a story about your book." And I said, "Oh, great." He said, "My little 4-year-old grandson has 3 favorite books, and yours is one of them. And all 3 books have to be read every night." And he said, and guess what? He is sounding out words. And I thought, oh, that is wonderful.
Yes.
And another little story about the younger children. There is a friend that is a grandma, and she said that her little granddaughter told her one day, "Grandmommy, can I take this book to school so the kids in my class can learn to read better too?" That was another sweet little
Yes.
Yes.
I just love how little children are so attentive. It's like they see a need and they genuinely care, and they really want to fix it, and they want to make it better. And that's so sweet of them. That's awesome. Now, I know that you also worked with older children. Do the methods that you use with the younger children also work for the older students?
Yes, let me explain that just a little bit. A lot of times children that have any type of learning disability or problem are reversing letters, and so the lowercase letter B and D get reversed, and also P and Q, and sometimes they flip capital M and W. So that helps them with that particular problem. And so, reading requires knowing the letters of the alphabet on an automatic level to enhance the ease of reading, so that they don't have to stop and think and, every little sound. And so this is the way I taught it, so that they would increase their visual and auditory memory, also to increase their visualization and all the different methods that we were trying. And I paired it with a method called Stephenson reading, and it works real well. In fact, talked to that lady who had written the book, and she and I think alike. I had used it after I taught my method. I extended it to her method, and I called her one day. She was in her 80s, and I told her about my book, and she says, "We are kindred spirits." And I said, "Yes, we are. Aww. We think alike." And so using both methods for the older children really did help them. And I had some children that were reading on about first or second grade level, and here they were 7th and 8th graders, and maybe a 6th grader. And so I tutored them every day during the week for about an hour, and they have to build on what they've learned, and it takes a while. And I kept encouraging them, once we get to the end, you will know this. And sure enough, they did, and they could read on about 5th grade level. The newspapers are written on that, and if you can read that, then as you practice reading, your reading level goes up. But you can function just fine at 5th grade level. So that's how I helped some older kiddos. And we worked with 2 sisters who had been really discouraged, and I had sort of behavior problems, and we worked with them. And then I said, well, we're getting to the last book, so it's going to start clicking. And once it did, and my friend who also worked with these 2 children sees them occasionally, and they said, you changed our lives. So that was worth it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's nothing like being able to change a person's life, and really get them from where they were to where they need to be. Now, so we've covered the younger children, we've covered the older children. So I have to ask, if adults are struggling in their reading, would this book be able to assist them as well?
Yes, it could, because more than likely they just don't have a background in reading, or they have a learning disability of some sort. And in fact, at some of my book signings, there were adults that came up to me and kind of whispered, I think I could use your book too. And I thought, that's great. It's not just for, a young child. It's for anybody.
I love that. Okay. Now, I love how you say that it's absolutely for everyone. So no one needs to think that this book isn't for them. If they need to practice in their reading, or if there's just some fundamental things that they need to go over, then this book is for them. I love it.
Right.
Now, I want to ask you, having lived in California for quite some time and being in a really diverse population, I have to ask, would this book also be good for someone where English is not their first language? Perhaps they speak another language at home.
Yes, this could work with other people. I had a lady that saw the book, and she says, I go on a mission to another country, and I think I could use this with them to teach them some English. And I said, yes, that would work really well, because the pictures go along with the letters, and so you can learn all of the background that you need to have beginning readers. And I thought, well, that's great. We could use it for English as a second language people too. And so she got some books, and she was going to do that. So.
That is wonderful. Well, it is almost time for us to go to break, and I want to make sure that everyone is able to get in contact with you. So, Brenda, if you would please let everyone know, where can they get a copy of your book, or how should they follow you online?
Well, there's 3 ways, but I'll do the first one right now. They can call 1-800-511-9787 and then click extension 5. That is Litfire. They're my publisher, and they're open from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And the ebook is only $2.99. The softcover book, which I love books better than ebooks, is only $14.99. And that, people waste that at a restaurant or something. So, if you could change a child's life and help them to read and be able to accelerate what they're doing for just $14.99, it would be well worth the price.
Okay. I have to agree with you on that one. Well, listeners, you now know where you need to go. Well, we need to take a very short break, but when we get back, we will continue this conversation with Brenda Martin. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Chester. My guest today is Brenda Martin, and she is the author of The Alphabet Learned Quickly and Easily. The Alphabet Learned Quickly and Easily is a great book that can make learning the alphabet fast, easy, and enjoyable. And one of the ways that Brenda describes herself is an artist, an entrepreneur, and an author. And I absolutely love that, because when you see this book, you will see that there has been some care put into it to make it just so. Speaking of such, I want to say, or ask you, who illustrated your book? It is unique, it's fun, it's engaging, it's colorful. Is that something that you really sought a particular person for, or what was the process for getting the illustrations done?
Well, I did a black and white version when I first started with this little boy I told you about. Mm-hmm. And so when I retired, I got my daughter to help me do some of the pictures. And she's a really good artist. I'm a okay artist. And so both of us illustrated the book. And we used little map colors to make it real pretty and colorful and engaging, that children would like all the pretty colors. And one thing we did is we made the pictures kind of unusual, maybe even funny, just a little bit odd, because people remember things that are funny, a little bit different, and that kind of increases the memory. So the letters and the pictures also work together to make the learning more memorable, so that the children can remember it better.
Now, could regular teachers or educators use your book as a supplement in their classroom, like when there's reading time?
Yes, they could. It would be something that would be fun, like a supplement, and so they could use that. And maybe every classroom may have a person that is in special ed or having a little problems remembering as well as they need to. So it could help those children also. And like you said, it's increasing their visual, auditory, association, and long-term memory for all the letters of the alphabet and the phonetic sounds. And so it becomes smoother, and they can read better on an automatic level without hesitation.
I think that people forget that reading isn't something that comes easily to everyone. Like, I think reading aloud, reading aloud makes some people nervous, and there's nothing like being able to have that extra little practice. So I like how your book makes it fun, should they be called upon, that they don't feel, like the light is just shining on them, but that it's a fun way to do it. Now, you mentioned something, and that was about the special ed teachers. And I wanted to ask about that as well. As someone who has been a teacher's assistant in a special ed classroom, would this book also be appropriate, do you feel, for them as well?
Yes, they could pull aside a few children and work with them more intensely on things that they need. Perhaps they're having trouble with some certain letters, and so they could pull them aside and work with them to get them to more caught up with the class. But it could also work for regular ed and gifted students, like I was telling you about those children that caught on so fast when they were only 4. So I just don't see anybody that couldn't benefit from it of any age, So I think and it has a manual too that helps.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because the next question that I wanted to ask you is that so many times people are a little leery, or they're concerned when it's, oh, well, a teacher wrote the book. Does that mean that it's going to be like a textbook? And they may be saying, well, I'm just a parent, or I'm just a grandparent. Will I be able to use this book with my little niece or nephew, or with my grandchild? Are you saying that the book is appropriate for everyone, regardless if you're the teacher or if you're the reader? It is comfortable for everyone to use.
Yes, the manual is very easy to understand. It has different titles for what you'll be going over. And it's only 6 pages. It's very user-friendly, and I think anyone could use it. And then I designed it where a child could sit by a teacher or a parent or a tutor. And the parent or tutor is on the left-hand side, and the child is on the right-hand side. There's a teacher page on the left, and it has reminders for the person teaching it. And it has different methods. I like to use multisensory, and I want the teacher or the parent to use a mirror so that they can look at their mouth when they're making the sound, so they can notice, how does my mouth move when I'm making that sound? And we put our hand on our throat and see where, how it feels and things like that. So it's using lots of different multisensory approaches that will help. And the manual is written very user-friendly, and even on the student page, which is right next to the teacher page, it has some reminders there. I put a kind of letter strip at the bottom of the student page, which has all the capital letters in order, A, B, C, all the way through Z, and the lowercase letters are right below it. So that they can see, and I underlined, where are we in the alphabet? Well, I underlined capital A and lowercase a, and they can see that that's the first letter. But if you're working on M, you see it's right in the middle. And so they know where it is in the alphabet. And I also encourage singing the alphabet song and doing, things that are very natural. People do these things all through the ages with children. So it's very helpful. It just reminds you of some things that maybe you knew, but you might have forgotten to do with as you're kind of going over the alphabet with children.
And it's so funny that you say that, because, that's true. The alphabet song, everyone knows the alphabet song. You strike into, you start up a good A, B, C, and then, everyone just kind of sings along. It just comes out. That is so true. What are some methods that you have used to help others remember their not only their letters, but their phonetic sounds? Is that different than just teaching them to remember the alphabet just visually?
Yes. In fact, the more of your senses that you use, the better you will remember. But what I paired it with visual memory and association memory, which I think really increases the memory for what you're learning. And so it tags other things on there that will increase memory for what you are teaching to the child.
Now, I like how you say that you use memory-enhancing methods to accelerate learning. Can you tell us a little bit more about what is memory-enhancing methods?
Well, one of the things is, let's go back to the picture on the cover, and you will know that every picture in the book has that special little story and picture. On the cover, I had the alligator hanging by his tail from the apple tree branch, and when the alligator's mouth is open and the line is a capital A, and the line is going across, and I thought, well, one of the branches got stuck in his mouth. So that explains that cross part of the capital A. And just different little, things that I just made up to help them understand better. And we worked on, like I said, visualization. They could even close their eyes and visualize the letter from the picture, and they'd know, oh yeah, that's what that letter looks like. So it's in their mind's eye, and it just really kind of burns it in their memory so that they can remember so much better. And it makes them feel so good when, I know that, And encouragement, I want them to be encouraged and to celebrate that, I learned that. And we might stop and clap for ourselves, or something like that. So anyway, just any kind of way to make it more fun and successful.
Of course. And, it really does make a lasting impression upon us. Now, as an adult, we might decide that we no longer want to be in the limelight or, receive all of those accolades. But as a child, being praised, and especially that public praise, really and truly does kind of catapult you from one particular event into the next event. You're able to remember to hold on to that, and you want that feeling again. You want to be able to do something that's going to cause people to cheer for you. And for some children, I think, like you said, that pausing and clapping for them and telling them that they did a great job is just quite awesome.
Right.
Now, I know that you said that there is a manual for the book and that you have one side for the student and one side for the teacher. Is there a way that if you are an adult using the book and the manual, is there a certain way that you should use the manual in that case?
Well, I think the person that might be helping would be sitting on the left and on the right.
Okay.
Possibly, but it's just a good reminder, and it's a good enhancement to what they already know. And so I just think it does help a lot for them to use that. And the cute little story also helps. It's memorable, and they can visualize it. So.
Oh, thank you so much for clearing that up, because I try to think of all the questions that, the people that are listening, it says, well, what if you're an adult? Can I still use the manual myself, or should I have someone with me? And you made a really great point. The person that's helping even the adult to read should be the person that's on that side. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that makes perfectly good sense. So Brenda, if you will, please let everyone know, where can they find a copy of your book, and how do they find you online?
Okay, and you can go to my website, which is www.brendamartinabcbook.com. But the website is very cute, and it's well done by Litfire. And so I encourage you to go to that, BrendaMartinABCBook.com.
Listeners, don't you go anywhere. We need to take a very short break, but when we get back, we will continue this conversation with my guest, Brenda Martin. We'll be back right after this.
Smell Good Spa, for the women who are making a conscientious change in their personal care products. Specializing in signature fragrance oils, hand-dipped incense, and wholesome bath and body and personal care products. Smell Good Spa. Use code HELLO25 for 25% off your order. Live good, feel good, smell good wholesomely. SmellGoodSpa.com.
Being a new mom brings lots of worries. One of my biggest worries with my little one was bath time. That was until I found the Omni Bath Visor. Now your little one can be protected from ear infections and dry drowning. Just slip the Omni Bath Visor over your baby's head at bath time, and water rolls right over the bill. Plus, the Omni Bath Visor is recommended by leading pediatricians. Bath time has never been more fun without the tears or phobias. Buy your Omni Bath Visor today on Amazon.
Hi everyone, Dr. Angela here. Did you know that Daily Spark is now on Facebook? That's right, you can visit with me at facebook.com/Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I want to know more about what you're thinking. I'd love to know which interview did you find the most entertaining or the most informative. I want to talk to you, and I want you to be able to talk to me. Simply visit facebook.com/Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Chester. Today, I am talking to artist, entrepreneur, and author Brenda Martin, and she has written the book, The Alphabet, Learned Quickly and Easily. The Alphabet, Learned Quickly and Easily is a great book that can make learning the alphabet fun, easy, and enjoyable. And what I really like about your book, Brenda, and it shows how mindful you were in the writing, is that it's not only good for the preschooler and the older student, but it's also great for adults that are learning to read or that need to go over the fundamentals again. And I think that that's important too. Many times I think people only concentrate on children, and they forget that there are some adults out there that need that extra little push or nudge or extra little guidance.
That is true. Very true.
Now, I know that you were a teacher, so if you would please, just in case we have someone that joined the show a little bit later, how many years were you a teacher?
Well, I taught 32 years, and it was all in special ed or helping the children that had maybe just minor learning disabilities all the way to severe. And I had children from age 3 all the way through high school. And so anyway, we had a lot of fun trying to learn how to read and function better in my classroom.
Now, do you have any particular success stories that you would like to share when it comes to your books? I'm sure people have come up to you and said, "Oh my God, thank you so much for writing this book." Do you have any recent experiences like that you'd like to share?
Well, I had stated earlier about some 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds that the parents were so excited, or the grandparents were excited, that the children were learning to read so at such a young age. And they had fun doing it and wanted to learn. So I had this little child that was 4 years old that the parent said she was already reading, and another one, the grandfather, said that he reads that every night, and he's sounding out words. So that's really good. Another little 5-year-old wanted to take it to school. I guess she wanted to be a teacher too, so that she could help her classmates that were not reading quite as well as she thought they should. So anyway, I thought that was real sweet of her. So anyway, and I used it with the older children too. And I try not to make it where they would be embarrassed. I know they're knowing they're not keeping up with their classmates, and so I tell them we're building a background and we're going to build the foundation so they can read, but we have to have all the materials first and all the information, and then it starts to click. Believe it or not, it really does. And so that's great when a child can finally be successful in their reading.
Now, I know that earlier you mentioned that you had an e-version of the book and a soft cover. Do you find that people have a particular preference, one over the other, or was it difficult for you to decide which version you wanted to release of your book?
Well, I'm partial to a just regular book, but I had a teacher that taught children that were hearing disabled. They had hearing problems, and she said, I'm going to get the e-book. I'm going to put it on the screen so we can do it as a class. And I thought that was a really great idea. You know, teachers can be so creative and so smart about how to use things. And she had this it was a teacher that bought the ebook so she could use it with her classroom for children that are hard of hearing or deaf. And so she would shine it up on a whiteboard, and they would see it that way. And she could work with all of them. And so that was a good way to use an ebook for her class. So I thought that was good.
That was creative, and that's really awesome. Yeah, you have to give it to the teachers that are creative and they make class fun. And it doesn't matter if it's in a special education class or it's in a standard class or if it's in a AP class. There's nothing like having a great teacher. There's nothing like having a fun environment where learning just goes to the next level because you were able to enjoy the class. We think that that's something that only adults can appreciate, but you can appreciate that as, you know, a regular student or as a teen. And because I have many teachers that I remember that I always give them a little extra credit because I say, I had a great time in that English class, or I had a great time in my government class, because those particular teachers, or even in my science class, because those teachers made the learning just extra fun. So I'm glad that they were able to do that. Now, do you feel inspired to help others learn to read who have been struggling to learn even now? I know that you're no longer a teacher, but is that still kind of your passion?
Yes, I love to hear about people that buy the book and have success with their students, and I love to use it with my grandson when he gets a little bit old. Not quite 16 months old, but anyway, I can't wait until I can work with him on things like this too.
Right. Right. That's going to be so much fun. I love it. I look forward to it for you. I know that as a mom that was able to stay home for a few years when my son was little, it's awesome to be able to spend that time with them and to make every opportunity an opportunity to learn something and just see how amazing the world is around us through their eyes, and for them to be able to, I like how you said, have those light bulb moments and just see it all click. It is so wonderful. Not that I'm knocking the parents that have to go back to work. I know that it was just a blessing for me to be able to stay home for a few years and spend that time with my son. So it's awesome. It's awesome. Now, I understand that for many people, when they're writing a book, and what we get might be the final version, but there's so many versions of the book that have come before that because they're really trying to get it right or get it spot on or according to what the vision is that you have for the book. How many versions of this book were there before this one became the final one?
Well, it takes years, actually, to write a book. And my first version, as I had stated earlier, was a black and white version. And so when I retired, I updated that version and made updates and pretty pictures. My daughter and I both did the illustrations. And I kept editing, and then this last version was my third version, and it took almost a year, to edit it and to put in a few extra things. So people that write books, you don't know how many hours and actually years it can take to get it the way they want it. So, but that's why publishers and people like that are there to help, and I couldn't have done it without them.
There's nothing like having a really good team around you. Sometimes people think that it's just about the person that's out front, and we are important, but there's nothing like having a really great team behind you with everyone doing what they're supposed to do. You know, everyone is able to shine when everyone does what they're supposed to do. It really and truly is helpful. I can understand that. So one more question for you, Brenda, and that is, just in case someone came in a little bit later, is this book good for everyone? And what I mean is that, you know, is it good for the preschooler, for the older student? Like I know in California we have a very huge homeschooling population, or is it just public school, private school? What would you say?
I'd say all are inclusive. I've had a parent buy a book for her homeschooling, and that it would work perfectly for people with homeschooling or private schools, and public schools. And I wanted to say that I didn't get to tell about another way to order the book. Is you could send an email to this address, author relations at litfirepublishing.com, and some people prefer to use email, so that's one way to do it. And so, but I can also go over the phone number for Litfire if someone wants to call them.
Sure.
Okay. It is 1-800-511-9787, extension 5. And that is from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So that's a good way to reach them. And if it's after hours, they could use the author relations at litfirepublishing.com in an email, and they will get back to you on a business day. So I wanted people to know there's several ways, actually 4 ways to order the book, and I hope that they'll see the need and be able to benefit for the children or even the older people that could use the book.
Well, Brenda, thank you so much for being a guest here today on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I've enjoyed my time with you. Thanks for letting us know that there is a way to improve and still have fun while we're learning. Thank you so much.
Well, it's been my pleasure, and I appreciate you, and thank you so much, too.
Thank you. Well, listeners, I want to thank you as well for joining me for another episode of Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. And as always, may the Lord continue to shine His face upon you. May you receive His grace and His mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, be blessed in the Lord. Bye-bye.